Welcome to my dreamlike school life. Ayanokoji-kun, are you okay? It came again. The fear situation. As I was pretending to sleep, that person came. It was the appearance of the devil, which forced me, who was taking a nap, to wake up to reality. In my brain, Shostakovich's 11th Symphony was playing. The song perfectly described my current predicament. The feeling of utter hopelessness as people are chased by devils and as the end of the world quickly approached. Even with my eyes closed, I could tell. I could feel the alarming presence of the devil right next to me as it waited for its slave to wake up. Now, as a slave, how do I escape the situation? To avoid danger, using the computer in the brain to instantly come up with an answer. Conclusion, pretend not to have heard anything. I am naming it the pretend sleep strategy. My predicament will be solved with this strategy. If the person talking was a kind girl, she would overlook it after saying, "Well, it can't be helped. I will forgive you because I'm sorry." Even a pattern like, "I will kiss if you don't wake up. Okay, chew." If you don't wake up in 3 seconds, you'll face punishments. The hell do you mean by punishments? In less than a second, the pretend sleep strategy was foiled and I succumbed to the threat. Still, I refused to raise my head and continued to resist. Look, as I expected, you were awake. I already know of your scariness if I make you angry. That's good. Then do you have some time? And if I say I don't? Well, I can't force you, but I will be cranky with you if you don't. She then continued. And if I'm cranky, I will be a major obstacle to Ayanokoji-kun's normal school life. For example, countless thumbtacks on your chair, spraying water on your head whenever you enter a bathroom, and sometimes stabbing you with a compass needle. That kind of behavior. That's just plain harassment. Also, that last one seems strangely real, as if I remember already being stabbed. I reluctantly woke up and sat up. A girl with long black hair and sharp, beautiful eyes looked down on me from the side. Her name was Horikita Suzune, high school class 1D, my classmate. Don't be so scared. That was just a joke. I won't pour water on you from above when you're in the toilet. The thumbtacks and the compass needle are more important. Look at this. You can still see where I was stabbed. How will you take responsibility if I get a lifetime scar? I roll up the sleeve of my right arm and show my upper arm to Horikita. Where is the evidence? Huh? Where is the evidence? Are you saying that I am the culprit without any proof? Of course there is no evidence, even though the only person who was close enough to stab was Horikita, and even though she was holding a compass needle in her hand. It's hard to say definitively. I had something important to confirm though. Do I really have to help out? I thought about it again, but after all, hey Ayanokoji-kun, regretting your decision while you're desperate or while you're suffering, which one do you like more? Because you pulled me from my responsibilities, so you should be held accountable. Is that right? Horikita offered only 2 ridiculous, extreme options. Apparently, it seems that she will not allow a compromise. It was a mistake to make a contract with the devil. I decided to give up and obey. So, what am I supposed to do? I asked while trembling in fear. I won't be surprised when I hear what she's asking from me. I don't know how things turned out this way, but I do remember when it started. I met this girl exactly 2 months ago. Was it on the day of the entrance ceremony? 1st of April. The entrance ceremony. I was going to school on the bus, which shook every time it passed over a bumpy area on the road. As I watched the landscape change from area to area, the passengers on the bus increased gradually. Most of the passengers were wearing school uniforms. The lone frustrated salary worker who got on the bus remembered the time when he accidentally groped someone the last time he got on the crowded bus. An old woman standing in front of me stood precariously on her unsteady feet, looking as if she would fall over any moment. I made a mistake by taking the bus. Even though I was able to secure a good seat, the cold wind was blowing towards me, and the whole bus was crowded. The poor old woman will have to wait until the bus arrives at her destination. The cloudless sky and the clear weather is refreshing. I think I might fall asleep. My tranquility and peace was suddenly interrupted. Don't you think you should give up your seat? For a moment, I opened my eyes that were about to close. By any chance were you scolding me? That's what I thought at first, but apparently the person in front of us was being warned. A young, well-built, blonde-haired man was sitting down in the priority seat. I mean high school student. The old woman was standing next to him. An office lady was next to the old woman. You there. Can't you see the old woman having trouble? The office lady seemed to want him to hand over the priority seat to the old woman. In this quiet bus, her voice got louder and attracted more and more attention. That's a really crazy question, lady. The boy might have been angry, ignorant, or perhaps really honest. But he just smiled and recrossed his legs. Why should I give up my seat to an old woman? There's absolutely no reason for me to give it up. Isn't it natural to hand over the priority seat to the elderly? I don't understand. Priority seats are just priority seats, and there is no legal obligation for me to move. Whether or not I move should be decided by me, who is currently sitting in the seat. Will you give up your seat because I am a young man? Ha! That's a stupid way of thinking. It's a matter of speaking that one wouldn't expect from a high school student. His hair is dyed blonde, and there are some unexpected traits for a high school student. I'm a healthy young man, certainly. I don't feel like standing up would inconvenience me. However, it is obvious standing up will consume more physical strength than sitting down. I don't want to do such a useless thing. Or maybe, are you telling me to be more lively and energetic? What? What kind of attitude is that towards your superiors? Superior? It's obvious that both you and the old woman have lived longer than me. There's no doubt about it. However, that above refers to height. Also, I have a problem with you. Even if there is a difference in age, isn't that an awfully rude and impertinent attitude? Superior in Japanese is literally translated to person above. He is saying that the person above, in this word, superior, refers to the height, not socially above. You're a high school student. You're a high school student. Honestly, just listen to what adults say. It's fine. The office lady was worked up, but the old woman didn't want to make a scene. She tried to calm her down with hand gestures, but the office lady continued to insult the high school student and looked like she was about to fly into a rage. Apparently, the older woman seems to have better hearing than you do. Oh dear. I guess the Japanese society isn't completely useless yet. Enjoy the rest of your life to your heart's content. After showing a uselessly refreshing smile, he put his headphones in his ears and began to listen to loud music. The office lady who spoke up was clenching her teeth in annoyance, his self-important attitude annoying her as she tried to argue with him. Personally, I didn't get myself involved because I agreed, at least in part, with the boy. Once the moral problem is solved, the obligation to give up your seat disappears. Sorry. The office lady tried to hold back her tears with apologizing to the old woman. A little incident happened on the bus. I was relieved that I wasn't involved in the situation. I don't care for things like that. Giving up my seat to the elderly, or stubbornly refusing to move from my seat. The disturbance ended with the young boy winning with his big ego. At least, everyone thought it was over. I also think that the lady is right. An unexpected helping hand was extended. The owner of the voice stood next to the office lady and bravely spoke her opinion to the boy. She wore the same uniform as me. This time, it's a pretty girl. Apparently, I have good luck with women today. Grandmother, it looks like it's been hot for a while now. Won't you give up your seat to her? It may be none of your concern, but I think it will contribute to society. With a patch, the boy snapped his fingers. Social contribution? I see. That's an interesting way of putting it. Giving seats to the elderly would be a social contribution. Giving seats to the elderly may be a way of contributing to society. Unfortunately, I am not interested in contributing to society. I only think about my own satisfaction. Oh, and also, in this crowded bus, you're asking me, who's sitting in the priority seat, to give up my seat. But can't you ask the other people who are staying silent and leave me alone? If someone truly cares for the elderly, I think that priority seat here, priority seat there, would be a trivial concern. The girl's intentions didn't reach the boy, and the boy's brazen attitude didn't change. Both the office lady and the old woman couldn't say anything, and stood there with a bitter smile, but the girl didn't crumble as she stood up to the boy. Everyone, please listen to me for at least a little bit. Can anyone give their seat to this old woman? Please, anyone. How is there so much compassion, courage, and determination in those few words? It's rare to see such genuine intentions. With her remark, the girl may have seemed like an annoyance, but she seriously appealed to the passengers without fear. I was not in a priority seat, but I was sitting near the old woman. By raising a hand and saying, "Here you go," this situation would be settled. The elderly would also calm down. Like everyone in the bus, though, I didn't move. No one felt it. No one felt it was necessary to move. The attitude and behavior of the boy had caught on with some of the passengers, and they convinced themselves that the boy was right. Of course, the elderly are undeniably important contributors and supporters of Japan, but we, the youth, are important human resources that will support Japan from now on. Also, because the general population is gradually aging, our value is also increasing. So if you compare the youth and elderly, it's obvious which one is more important now. Well, this is also a perfect argument, isn't it? Somehow, I started to wonder what the other people would do. Looking around, people were pretending not to have noticed, or had a hesitant look. But the girl who was sitting next to me was completely different. Among the confusion, she had a completely expressionless look. When I stared at her, unintentionally, because of her strangeness, our eyes met for just a few moments. I could tell we shared the same thoughts. Neither of us considered giving up our seats for the old woman. Soon after the girl's appeal, a woman stood up, unable to endure the guilt. "Thank you." When the girl lowered her head with a full smile, she pushed through the crowd and she guided the old woman to the seat. She thanked the girl over and over again, then sat down in her seat. While watching the old woman and the girl, I folded my arms and closed my eyes. The bus soon arrived at the destination and stopped at the school. As I got off the school, there was a gate made of natural stone waiting for me. All the boys and girls in their uniforms got off the bus and passed through the gates. Kodo Aikasei High School, a school created by the Japanese government that aims to nurture young people to support the future. It is a place I will attend starting today. Stop. Take a deep breath. Okay. Let's go. Wait a second. As I tried to take my first step of courage, I was instantly stopped by someone trying to talk to me. I was stopped by the girl I sat next to on the bus. "You were looking at me." "Why?" she said with a firm look. "Sorry, I was just a bit interested." Whatever the reason, you didn't have any thoughts on giving up your seat to the old woman, right? Yeah, I didn't. I didn't want to give up my seat. What's wrong with that? No, it's just that I thought the same thing. I also didn't have any intention of giving up my seat. I like to stay out of trouble. I don't like being concerned with such things. Stay out of trouble? Don't compare me to you. I didn't give up my seat because I did not feel any sense of giving up my seat to an old woman. Isn't that just worse than staying out of trouble? I don't know. I'm just acting on my own behalf. It's different from people who avoid troublesome things like you. I don't want to spend my time with people like you. I feel the same way. I just wanted to give my opinion, but I wasn't really in the mood to talk back and forth. We both deliberately sighed and started walking in the same direction. I don't like the entrance ceremony. A lot of the first years think the same way. The principal and the students are thanking each other annoyingly. There's way too much standing out, and it's just a pain in the butt because there are too many troublesome things. But that's not all I want to say. The entrance ceremony for elementary, middle, and high school marks the start of one major trial for students. For the first few days after the entrance ceremony, students must make friends in order to enjoy the rest of their school life. If someone fails at that task, it is said that a miserable 3 years await them. Following my principle of avoiding trouble, I think it would be best to make some friends and establish decent human relationships. The day before, I tried to practice making friends because I was inexperienced. First scenario was bursting into classroom and then talking excitedly. Second scenario was secretly passing a note with my email on it, then becoming friends afterwards. In my case, I had to practice because this is a completely different environment than I had been used to for my entire life. I am completely alone. I enter the fierce battleground all by myself, overlooking the classroom. I walked over to the seat with my nameplate on it. I see towards the back of the room and near the window. Generally a good spot to get. The classroom was only about half full. Students were either looking at their classroom materials by themselves or talking to acquaintances and friends. Now, what should I do? Should I get to know people during this free time? Sitting a few seats in front of me, a chubby boy seemed lonely all by himself. He gave off an aura that just screamed, "Someone talk to me and be my friend." However, if you suddenly walked up to someone and talked to them, they would probably just feel bothered. Do you wait for the right time then? No. By then, he would probably be surrounded by enemies, and there's a high chance I'll become friendless. As I expected, I should talk. Wait. Don't be hasty. If I carelessly jump in and just talk to the unknown student, I might be beaten up by someone else. This is useless. A negative spiral. In the end, I couldn't talk to anyone, and with the way things were going, I would soon be left all alone. Is he still alone? Do I hear laughter? Must I be hearing things? I wonder what friends are. Where on earth do friends come from? Do people become friends after they eat with each other, or do they become friends after going to the bathroom together? The more I think about it, the more I don't understand. Is it something deep? I should think about this more. Trying to make new friends is really troublesome and tiring. In the first place, I should be trying to make friends like this. Furthermore, don't friendships form naturally? My mind is in a complete disarray, like a chaotic summer festival. While my mind becomes hazy and confused, the classroom quickly fills up with other students entering the classroom. Oh well, I have no choice but to try. After a long internal struggle, I started to get up from my seat. However, as I got up, I noticed that the chubby kid wearing glasses was also talking to another classmate. With a bitter smile, I realized that there was no friendship to be made here. Good for you, Glasses-kun. You made your first friend. You, from before. Feeling perplexed, I was doing some serious soul-searching. Involuntary, I let out a deep sigh from the bottom of my lungs. My high school life seems very bleak. I noticed that the classroom was nearly full, and then I heard someone putting down their bags next to mine. That's a heavy sigh. Even though the class semester hasn't even started yet, I feel like sighing after meeting you again. The person who sat next to me was the girl I argued with after getting off the bus. So, we were in the same class, huh? After all, there were only 4 first-year classes. It's not like it's probabilistically impossible that we were put in the same class. I am Ayano Koji, Kayataki. Nice to meet you. A sudden self-introduction. Even if you call it sudden, it's our second time talking to each other. Isn't an introduction fine? Anyway, I previously had no way to introduce myself to anyone, even to this cheeky girl. Although, in order to become familiar with the class, I wanted to learn my neighbor's name at least. Do you mind if I reject your greeting? I think it would be awkward if we didn't even know each other's name, even though we sit next to each other. I think it would be perfectly fine. She put her bag on her desk. It seems like she won't even tell me her name. The girl showed no interest in the rest of the class and sat down in her seat like a model. Is your friend in another class? Or are you coming to this high school alone? You're a curious one, aren't you? You shouldn't talk to me, since you won't find me interesting anyway. If I'm being a bother to you, just tell me to shut up. I thought that the conversation was over, but after a sudden change of heart, she sighed and looked at me. My name is Horikita Suzune. I didn't expect to receive an answer, but no. Horikita introduced herself. For the first time I saw her face. Wow, she's cute. I mean, she's beautiful. Even though she was in the same grade, she could probably pass as a second or third year student. She looked like a mature woman. Let me start off by telling you a bit about myself. I have no particular hobbies, but I have an interest in everything. I don't have too many friends, but I think it would be good to have some friends. Well, that's the kind of person I am. Sounds like a reply from someone who avoids troublesome situations. I don't think I'll ever like someone who thinks that way. It feels like my whole existence has been denied in a single second. I pray that no more misfortune befalls me. I sympathize with you, but I don't think that will come true. I pointed at the door to the classroom. The one standing there was... The equipment in this classroom seems to be in order. The classroom looks just like the rumors said. It was the boy who argued with the girl on the bus. I see. Certainly is bad luck. It seems like not only us, but the problem child is also in Class D. Without noticing us at all, he sat down at the seat marked Koeiji. I wonder if he knows what the term friendship means. Let's try observing him a bit more. Koeiji then propped his legs onto the desk, took out a pair of nail clippers and started doing maintenance on his fingernails, and acted as if he was the only one there, and ignored all of his surroundings. His remarks on the bus seemed to have come from his true feelings. In less than 10 seconds, more than half the class backed away from Koeiji. Even here, his self-important attitude penetrated the classroom. Looking next to me, I noticed that Horikita was looking down at her desk, reading one of her books. Oops. I forgot that talking back and forth was one of the basics of holding a conversation. One of my chances to become friends with Horikita was crushed. Peeking at the title of the book, I saw that she was reading Crime and Punishment. That's interesting. Whether there is a reason to actually kill a person or not, it advocates killing. Maybe Horikita's hobbies are similar to the ones in the book. Anyway, since self-introductions were finished, it seems like we won't be interacting very much. After a few minutes, the first bell rang. A woman wearing a suit walked into the classroom. On the first impression, she seems like a teacher who finds strict classroom discipline important. She looks about 30 years old. Her long hair was tied back into a ponytail. Ahem! Good morning, new students. My name is Shabashira Sai, and I am in charge of Class D this year. I teach Japanese history. The school doesn't rearrange the classrooms every year, so over the next 3 years, I hope to get to know all of you. Best regards. Although the entrance ceremony will be 1 hour from now in the gym. I will now distribute the list of special rules for this classroom. From the front, the handouts are passed out. In this school, there are special rules that make it different from every other high school. All students are required to live on campus and are forbidden from contacting anyone outside. Even contacting immediate family members is impossible without the permission of the school. Leaving the school grounds is also forbidden. However, there are also many other facilities so that students don't suffer from being restricted. There are karaoke's, theater rooms, cafes, even boutiques. You can say they made a small town, and in the middle of the big city is the huge campus that takes up to more than 600,000 square meters. There's one more special characteristic of this school though, the introduction of the S system. I will now hand out student ID cards. With this card, you can buy anything from any of the shops and facilities around the campus. It works like a credit card. However, be careful on how many points you use. There's nothing you can't buy at this school. If there's something on the school grounds, it's purchasable. This point system associated with the student card is essentially replacing money. This way, every student would start out with the same amount of money and would be forced to check their consumption habits. In any case, all the points are provided at no charge from the school. Student cards can be used by swiping them on the machines. Using the machines are really easy, so you won't have any trouble using them. The points will automatically be credited on the first day of the month. Everyone should have already 100,000 points on their card. Also, 1 point is worth 1 yen. Any more explanations would be unnecessary. For a moment, the classroom got loud. In other words, for being admitted to the school, we got 100,000 yen monthly allowance from the school. As expected from a school created by the Japanese government, 100,000 yen is a considerable amount of money given to a student as a monthly allowance. Were you guys surprised by the amount of points given? The school measures the abilities of the student. Everyone here passed the entrance exam, has shown some level of metric and worth. The amount of money is reflected on the skill you have. Used without holding back. After graduation, however, all the points will be taken back. Since it's impossible to change these points into cash, there's no point saving up the points. How the points are used are by you. Use it on things you like and things you need. If you feel no use for some of the points, you can just transfer it to someone else. However, bullying other people for points is prohibited. The school is very strict on the matter concerning bullying. Shabashiro-sensei looked around. It seems like no one had any questions. Well then, it seems like no one has questions. Please lead a good student life. A lot of classmates couldn't hold their surprise for the amount of money they received. It isn't as strict of a school as I thought it would be. I thought I was talking to myself, but Horikita was looking my direction and thought the same thing. It certainly seems like a lax school. Although they force you to live in dorms, forbidding us from going off the campus, and prohibit us from contacting anyone else outside the school, they give us a lot of points for free. It could be said that the students are put in a paradise with preferential treatment, and the biggest merit to Kodai Ikusu High School is their 100% employment rate. Under the thorough guidance of the government, the school works towards a better future with all the resources. In fact, many of this widely publicized school's alumni are famous people. Usually, no matter how famous and good a school is, its area of specialization is narrow. A school might specialize in sports, or specialize in music, or maybe even specialize in computer-related topics, but this school fulfills any wish in any genre that someone may wish to study. This is a school that has the kind of system and value. That's why I thought the school atmosphere would be more competitive and more bloodthirsty, but the majority of my classmates seem like ordinary people you could find anywhere else. No, maybe that's why everyone's so normal. We were already recognized as students who passed the entrance exam. Can we graduate peacefully without any incident? I wonder if that's even possible. This much preferential treatment is a bit scary. After listening to Horikita say that, I almost felt the same way. I think it would be better if I stay ignorant about the details of the school, because they are able to fulfill any wish. I think there would be some risk associated with the school. Nah. Don't you want to go to those shops? Let's go shopping. With this much money, we can buy anything. It's great that I got into the school. After the teacher left the room, the students who received large amount of money were restless. Everyone, can you guys listen to me for a bit? A student who had the air of a young man raised his hand and spoke. His hair wasn't dyed and he looked like an honor student. He didn't look like a delinquent either. Starting from today, we will be in the same class for the next 3 years, so it would be great if all of us could introduce ourselves and become friends. We still have time until the entrance ceremony. So what do you think? Oh, he said something amazing. A majority of students couldn't find words to say. I agree. After all, we don't know each other's names, let alone anything about each other. After the first person agreed, the previously hesitant students subsequently voiced their support. My name is Hirata Yosuke. Because I was often called by my first name, Yosuke, in middle school, feel free to use my first name. Although I like all sports, I like soccer in particular, and also plan to play soccer at the school. Please take care of me. The young man who proposed the class introduced himself impeccably, did his self-impression. You really have a lot of guts, and you even talk about soccer. After talking about soccer with the refreshing expression, his popularity multiplied by 2. No, 4 times. Look, all the girls near Hirata have hearts in their eyes. Like this. Hirata became the central figure of the class, and would probably draw everyone's attention until we graduated, and then he would probably go out with the cutest girl in the class. That's probably how things would turn out. If that was satisfactory, then can we start self-introductions from the beginning? Being smooth to the very end, Hirata asked for confirmation. Although the first girl was perplexed and nervous, she soon made up her mind and stood up. In other words, she was flustered by Hirata's words. My name, Inogarashi. As she tried to introduce herself, her words stopped in her mouth. Whether her mind went blank or she didn't collect her thoughts fully, she was unable to speak clearly. When words no longer came out, her face became pale in embarrassment. It's rare seeing someone get so nervous. Do your best. It's okay, you don't have to rush. Those words came from a classmate, but those words backfired, and the words stuck in her throat and disappeared. The silence continued for 5 seconds, then 10 seconds. The pressure was palpable. Small giggles came from some of the girls in the classroom. She was paralyzed with fear. One of the girls spoke up. Doing it slowly is fine. Don't rush through it. Although her words were similar to do your best and it's okay if you don't rush, the meaning her words held was completely different. To the nervous girl, the boy's words seemed a bit forceful. On the other hand, the girl's words told her to go at her own pace and felt more reassuring. After regaining a bit of her composure, she breathed in and out to calm herself down. Then after a little while, my name is Inugashari Kokoro. My hobby is sewing and I'm good at knitting. Please take care of me. In the first words, she said all she wanted to say without stopping. With a relieved, delighted, and slightly embarrassing expression, Inugashara sat down. Thanks to the help, Inugashara's introduction finished without any trouble. Other self-introductions followed. I'm Yamauchi Haruki. In elementary school, I played table tennis at the national level, then was the baseball club's ace in middle school. I had uniform number 4, but since I got injured during inter-high recently, so I'm currently in rehab. Nice to meet you. I don't think the number 4 has any meaning to it, and inter-high is a sports tournament for high schoolers. You can't compete as a middle schooler. Or was he trying to tell a joke? He was a frivolous and loose-mouthed type of person. Then I'm next, right? The cheerful girl who stood up next was the one who told Inugashara to introduce herself at her own pace, and the girl that helped out the old lady on the bus this morning. My name is Kushida Kikuyu, and since none of my friends from middle school came to the school, I want to get to know everyone and become friends. Most students finished their greetings after a few words, but Kushida continued talking. First of all, I want to become friends with everyone here. After all you are done introducing yourselves, please exchange your contact information with me. Her words weren't just words. I could tell immediately that she was the type of girl to open up her heart immediately. Her words to Inugashari weren't just encouragement. They seemed appropriate for the situation, but were her true feelings. Also, she seemed like the type of person who would just get along with everyone. Then, during vacations or after school, I want to make memories with many people, so please invite me to many events. I've been talking for a while, so I'll end my self-introduction here. She definitely got along with all the boys and girls of the classroom. Of course, it's not like I'm ridiculing other people's self-introductions, it's just that I'm feeling a bit restless for some reason. What should I say in my introduction? Should I try and tell a joke too? Or should I bring out laughs by creating high tension during my speech? No, but I wonder. High tension would probably just ruin the mood. To begin with, I'm not the kind of person. While I was lost in my own worries, my self-introduction continued. Then the next one is, as Hirata looked at the next student shot him a sharp glare. With bright red hair, the boy looked like a delinquent, and spoke in a manner that matched his appearance. You guys idiots? I don't want to introduce myself. Just leave me alone. Red hair glared at Hirata. Tension hung in the air. I can't force you to introduce yourself, but I don't think it's a bad thing to get along with your classmates. If you thought I was being unpleasant, I apologize. After watching Hirata bow his head toward red hair, some of the girls glared at red hair. Isn't it fine to do simple self-introductions? Yeah, I second that, yeah! As expected from the Ike-Man soccer boy, he seems to have quickly attracted the attention of the girls. However, starting with red hair, about half of the boys stirred with jealousy from Hirata. No, I don't want to have to pretend that we're good friends. Red hair got up from his seat. At the same time, several other students left the room. They probably had no intention of getting to know their classmates. Horikita also started to get up from her seat. She looked at my direction, but when she realized I wasn't moving, she started walking out the room. Hirata looked a bit lonely as he saw the group walk out the classroom. They're not bad people. I'm also at fault since I asked them to stay out of my own selfishness. Hirata-kun did nothing bad. Let's just leave those people alone. Even though some people left after not wanting to do self-introductions, the remaining students continued to go around and introduce themselves. I'm Ike Kanji. The things I like are girls, and the things I hate are Ikemen. I'm looking for a girlfriend at any time. So nice to meet you. Of course, you better be cute or beautiful. It's hard to tell if he said it as a joke or if that was his true thoughts, but he earned the ire of the females. Wow, cool. Ike-kun, you're so smooth, said one of the girls with a completely emotionless voice. Of course, it was obvious that it was 1000% a lie. Apparently, Ike thought it was true and became a bit embarrassed. Suddenly, all the girls laughed. Wow, he's recruiting girlfriends. Ike waved his hand cheerfully while being teased. It doesn't seem like he's a bad person though. Then the boy who followed on the bus, Koeiji, was up next. After checking his bangs with a hand mirror, he used the comb to arrange his hair. Can you introduce yourself? Okay. While smiling like a young noble, he showed glimpses of his impudent behavior. I thought he would stand out, but Koeiji kept his feet on the desk and started his self-introduction while sitting like that. My name is Koeiji Rokusuke. Being the only heir to the Koeiji conglomerate, I am a man who will be responsible for Japanese society in the near future. Pleased to meet you, ladies. It was an introduction for the ladies, as opposed to the whole class. Some girls looked at Koeiji with glitter in their eyes after hearing he was rich, while the others looked at him like he was crazy. That's natural. From now on, I will relentlessly punish anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. Be careful in that respect. Koeiji-kun, what do you mean by anything that makes you uncomfortable? Feeling uneasy at his words, Hirata asked him again, exactly as I said. But, if I were to give an example, I hate unattractive things. If I saw something ugly, I would do as I said. Thank you. I'll make sure to be careful. Red hair, Horikita, Koeiji, then Yamauchi, and Ike. Apparently all the odd students were gathered in the same class. During the short time, I was able to see a glimpse of the various students in my class, but I flew from the cage all alone, without putting much thought into it. I wanted to experience the freedom. If you look outside, you can see the gracefulness of the birds, which you can't see all the time. I'm that kind of person. Anyway, the next person, please introduce yourself. While I was still lost in my delusion, a lot of the students were waiting for me to give my introduction. Don't look at me with that much anticipation. I'll go all out with my self-introduction. Alright, get up and start. Well, my name is Ayanokoji Kayotaka. There's nothing particularly about me. I will do my best to get along with everyone. Nice to meet you all. After finishing my greeting, I quickly sat back down. Did everyone see it? My self-introduction? Failed. I buried my face in my hands. I was too busy lost my delusions, so I couldn't come up with the proper words in advance. It was such a boring, lame introduction that no one will remember me. Nice to meet you, Ainakoji. I also want to get along with everyone, so let's do our best, Harada said with a refreshing smile. Everyone clapped. I feel like everyone clapped after seeing through my mistake. At the same time, I felt strangely hurt from their pity. I was still happy though. Even though this school is hard, the entrance ceremony is the same here as it is at any school. After a speech of thanks from the principal or other director, the ceremony ended. And then it was noon. After we got an explanation of all the buildings and facilities on the campus, the group split up. 80% of the students started heading towards the dorms. The rest of the students formed a small group and walked towards the cafe and the karaoke rooms. The whole crowd soon disappeared. On my way to the dorm, I decided to go to the convenience store, which was on the way. Of course I was alone. I knew no one else. What an unpleasant coincidence. Once I entered the convenience store, I immediately ran into Horikita again. Don't be so hostile. Rather, did you also have stuff to buy? Yeah, just a bit. I came to buy some necessities. Horikita talked while examining shampoo that she took from the shelf. Dormitory life starts from today. Girls also need various products. She quickly put the shampoo and other daily necessities into her bag. I thought she would go for good quality items, but she only went for the cheapest available. I thought girls paid more attention to that kind of stuff. That depends on the type of person. No. The type of person who doesn't know where they should be spending their money. She sent me a cold gaze. Could you not look at other people's stuff without permission? Also, I didn't expect you to stay in the classroom for self-introductions. You don't seem like the type of person to be in that group. I'm trying to be in that group precisely because I'm trying to avoid trouble. Why didn't you participate in the self-introductions? It's only a short greeting. You could get along with the other students and get the chance to make friends. A lot of the students exchange contact information with each other. If Horikita had participated, she probably would have been popular in the class. What a waste. There are a lot of reasons I could give you, but should I give a simple explanation? Even if I introduce myself, it's not guaranteed that I would get along with everyone. Rather, it would probably create more problems instead. If I don't introduce myself, none of these problems occur, right? But there's a still high probability that you would get along with everyone. Where'd you get that probability from? I say that, but we would endlessly argue. So let's just say the probability is high. So did you get along with everyone? She looked at me while talking. Surprisingly, she's right. Actually, I was unable to exchange contact information with anybody. It couldn't be used as evidence to prove that there was a high probability of getting along with everyone. I averted my gaze at Horikita's words. In other words, you have no proof that self-introductions make finding friends easy. Horikita continued, to begin with, I never intended to make friends, so there's no need for me to introduce myself, and no need for me to listen to anyone else's introduction. Are you convinced now? She did reject me the first time I tried to introduce myself. It might have been a miracle to have gotten her name in the first place. When I asked if I shouldn't have introduced myself, she shook her head though. People have various different ways of thinking. It's impossible to deny that. Horikita is a much more isolated, aloof type of person than I thought. We didn't even look at each other as we wandered about a convenience store. Even though her personality is a bit uptight, it didn't feel uncomfortable. Wow. In front of the instant food section, the two boys were being noisy. After throwing a bunch of cup noodles into their basket, the two of them went to the register. They also had a lot of snacks and drinks that were filled up to the whole basket. Since there are a lot of points, they may be left over. It's only natural that they try and spend it somehow. Cup noodles? So they had that kind of section too. Learning this kind of stuff was one of my goals in coming to the convenience store. So boys really do like this kind of stuff. I don't think it's really good for your body though. I was just considering if I should buy it. I picked up a cup of noodle bowl and looked at their price. It said it was 156 yen, but I wasn't sure whether it was high or low for the bowl of noodle. Even though the school calls it points, the prices are written in yen. Hey, what do you think of these prices? Do they look cheap or expensive? I can't really tell. But did you find something with a strange price? No, that's not what I meant. I was just asking. The prices on the goods in the store seem to be about right. It really doesn't seem like 1 point equals 1 yen. Given that the average high school student's allowance is about 5,000 yen, our monthly allowance is 20 times bigger. Sensing my suspicious behavior, Horikita looked strangely at me. This is really big. It's a G cup. It looks like it stands for Giga Cup, but for some reason, it makes me feel full just looking at it. On an unrelated note, Horikita's breasts aren't small, but aren't large either. They're just the perfect size. Ayano Koji-kun, did you just think of something inappropriate? No, of course not. You were acting strangely though, but just a glance, she was able to tell that I was thinking of something strange. She's sharp. I was thinking about what I should buy. Which one looks better? If it's just that, then it's fine. You should stop buying those unhealthy foods. The school has a lot of better food options, so don't make a habit of it. As she said, there's no need to stick to instant fast food. However, I had an irresistible urge to buy a few of them, so I took a regular-sized instant bowl noodle and put it in my basket. Horikita drew her attention away from the food section and started to look around, and started to look at the necessities section. Now I could finally score some points with Horikita by telling some witty jokes. Wow, this razor has 5 blades. Seems like it was shaved super cleanly. The hell? What would I shave with that? I held the razor blade, feeling proud of my joke, but the reaction was different than I expected. I thought she would smile, but she was looking at me like I was disgusting. You know, there's nothing to shave on my chin or even my underarms. That hurt my heart. I guess my joke doesn't work on females. I'm envious of your courage to say that to someone you randomly just met. You've also been saying shit to someone you just met too. Really? I was only saying the facts, unlike you. She returned my words calmly and shut me up. Granted, I was saying some stupid stuff. Horikita was smooth though, showing no sign of saying crude things. Horikita once again chose the cheapest facial cleanser. I think girls should pay more attention to themselves. I think this one looks better, doesn't it? I grabbed a facial cleanser that was a bit more expensive and looked creamer. Not necessary. I was refused. No, but I already said I didn't need it, didn't I? Yeah. I gently returned the cleanser back on the shelf as she glared at me. I thought I could make the conversation without getting her mad, but I failed. You're not very good at socializing. You suck at coming back with things to say. Even coming from you, I guess that's pretty true. Of course, I have a pretty good eye for people. Normally, I wouldn't want to hear you speak twice, but I will put in the painful effort to listen to you. For some reason, I tried to make friends with her, but my expectations were completely off. With that, our conversation gritted to a halt. As 2 girls entered the store and started shopping, I realized something new. Horikita is really cute. Hey, what are these for? I looked for things to talk about. I saw something unusual. In the corner of the convenience store, I saw individual portions of food and supplies. At first glance, they looked the same as everything else, but with one major difference. Free. Also feeling interested, Horikita picked up one of the items. Daily necessities such as toothbrushes, bandages were put in the back and labeled free of charge. The bin also had the words 3 items per month written on it, and it was obvious that these were different from the other goods. I wonder if this is like an emergency release for those who have used all their points, and what a surprisingly lenient school. I wonder if they're thorough with these kind of services though. Hey, just wait a bit. I'm looking for it now. Interrupting the peaceful background music, it was a loud voice from the middle of the store. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting. Oh, really? Tell them to complain directly to me. It sounded like there was a trouble. The 2 boys were glaring at each other as they started a quarrel. The one with the disgruntled face was also too familiar. It was the red-haired guy. He was clutching a cup of noodles in his hand. What's happening here? Oh, who are you? I meant to talk invincible, but the red-hair took me for one of his enemies and shot me with a glare. I'm Ayano from the same class. I spoke up because I thought there was trouble here. After explaining, Red Hair lowered his voice after understanding the situation. Oh, I remember you. Forgot my student card. Forgot that thing was practically money from now on. After seeing his empty hands, he started to head over to the dorms. He probably forgot it. To be honest, it didn't fully sink in that the cards were needed for every payment. If it's fine with you, I can pay for it now. It'd be troublesome to go back and get it. I don't mind if you use my points. That's true. It's annoying. Good thing you're here. Thanks. The distance to the dorms isn't a big deal, but by the time he would have gotten back, the line would probably get long since it's lunchtime. I'm Pseudo. Oh, you won. Nice to meet you, Pseudo. I took the cup noodles from Pseudo, then walked over to the hot water dispenser. Horikita was amazed after seeing that short exchange. You're a pushover. Even from the first meeting. Are you going to be his obedient servant, or is this how you're trying to make friends? Rather than making friends, I was just trying to help. Nothing less. You don't seem to be scared at his appearance either. Scared? Why would I be scared? Because he looks like a delinquent? A normal person would probably stay away from this kind of person. Nah, he doesn't even look like a bad person anyway. Also, you don't look scared yourself. Only people without any method of protecting themselves or stay away from those types. If he seemed violent, I'd repel him away from you. That's why I'm not really scared. That's why I'm not really afraid. Whenever Horikita says something, it's always something unusual. First of all, when she says repel, what does she mean? Is she carrying around some kind of anti-molester spray? Let's finish shopping. It would bother other students if we were loitering around too long. We finished up our shopping. After presenting the student ID to the machine, the transaction was complete. It was even faster because there was no small charge involved. It's really as usable as money. The receipt showed the prices of each good and leftover amount of points. The payment went off without any hitch. While waiting for Horikita, I put the hot water into the cup noodles. I thought it'd be more difficult to open the lid and pour in the hot water, but it was surprisingly easy. At any rate, this is a really weird school. What kind of merit does each individual have that warrants that big of an allowance? Since my grade has about 160 people in it, by the simple calculation, the high school should have a total of 480 people. Even in a month, that's already 48 million yen. In a year, that's 560 million yen. Even if it's backed by the country, it still seems like overkill. I wonder what benefit it would bring to the school. 100,000 yen is a lot to give to one person. Well, there seem to be way too many facilities for the number of students, and it doesn't seem necessary to give the students that much money. The students may neglect their studies because they have so much money. I'm not sure if this is our reward for passing the test. By talking about money, the students might be motivated to work harder. But without any conditions attached, 100,000 yen was handed out to everyone. It's not something I can really tell you to do, but it's probably better to save your money. Bad habits are difficult to fix. Once humans get used to a comfortable life, it's hard to let go. The mental shock would certainly be really big. I'll take that to heart. I never intended to throw away my money on random expenses originally, but she made a valid point. After finishing the transaction, Sudo was waiting in the front of the convenience store. Seeing me come out, Sudo waved his hands at me. When I also waved to return his feelings, I felt a bit embarrassed, yet happy at the same time. Are you actually trying to eat it here? Of course I am. It's common sense. Where else would I eat? When Sudo answered like that, and I was surprised, and Horikita let out an expressive sigh. I'm going to go home. It feels like my dignity is slowly degrading away here. What dignity are you talking about? You're just a normal high school student. Or are you some kind of Ojo-sama? Even though Sudo snapped at Horikita, she didn't even bat an eye. Feeling irritated, Sudo put down his cup of noodles and stood up. Listen to people when they talk to you. Hey, what's up with him? Suddenly getting angry? Horikita continued to ignore Sudo and talk to me. Having been pushed over the edge, Sudo shouted in anger, "Come over here! I'll beat you up!" I'll admit, Horikita's attitude was bad, but your behavior isn't very good either. So? Her attitude's way too cheeky for a woman. For a woman? That kind of thinking is outdated. Don't be friends with someone like him. With that, Horikita turned around, ignored Sudo to the very end. Hey, wait, damn woman! Calm down. I held back Sudo, who was trying to reach Horikita, without even looking back. Horikita headed back to the dorms. What kind of person acts like that? Damn it! There are many different types of people, you know. I hate that kind of person. He was watching me cautiously. Sudo grabbed the cup of noodles, tore off the cover, and started eating. A little while ago, he also fought at the register. It seems like he has a low boiling point for his anger. Hey, are you your first year? That's our spot. As I watched Sudo slurp up his noodles, a group of 3 boys walked out of the convenience store, carrying similar bowls. Who are you guys? We're using the spot right now. You're blocking the way. Fuck off. Didn't you hear him? Scram. Some cheeky first-year brat. 3 laughed at Sudo. Sudo stood up and threw his cup of noodles on the ground. The first year's trying to fight, huh? What? That's not it. Sudo has a low tolerance for anger. He's the type of person to try and intimidate the other party. These second years are saying some bullshit things. We're already sitting here. The second year senpais put down their stuff right there, and then they began to laugh. Yup, we're here too. So scram, this is our spot. You guys have some nerves, you shits. Sudo didn't falter from the difference in numbers. Looks like a fist fight will start at any time now. I, of course, didn't count myself in those numbers. Wow, so scary. What class are you guys from? Oh wait, never mind. Let me guess. You're in Class D, right? So what? After Sudo said that, all the upperclassmen looked at him and laughed at the same time. Did you hear him? He's in Class D. It was really obvious. Oh? What do you mean by that, huh? As Sudo was getting heated, the boys took a step back. Because you guys are so pitiful, I'll let you stay there for today. Let's go. You guys running away? The dog's barking. You guys will face hell soon enough. Anyway, face hell? They clearly looked calm and composed. I wonder what they meant by that. Face hell. I thought this school was for those fancy obo-chans or ojo-samas, but there are quite a few people like Pseudo, or that group of 3 guys earlier. Damn it, if it were those girls, or nice second years, it would've been fine, but we got that stupid bunch. Pseudo shoved his hands into his pockets and headed back without even cleaning up the noodles. I looked at the outside of the convenience store, the 2 surveillance cameras, and there'll probably be problems later, huh? Reluctantly, I reached down and started cleaning up the mess. As soon as the second year's new Pseudo was in Class D, their opinion changed instantly. Although I felt anxious about it, there was no way for me to understand why. Around 1 p.m., I reached the dorms. That would be my home for the next 3 years. After the first floor receptionist gave me my key for the room 401 and information manual, I got on the elevator. While flipping through the manual, I saw the same time and day for the garbage disposal, and warning not to make too much noise. It also said not to waste water or electricity as much as possible. They don't actually have limits on gas and electricity usage, huh? I thought they would subtract from our points automatically. The school really went through great lengths for our sakes as students. I was surprised that they implemented co-ed dorms though. For a school that prohibits relationships between students, the co-ed dorms felt out of character. In other words, sex was a no-no. Well, obviously. It's hard to believe that such a pampered and easy life can train students to be admirable adults, but given the current situation, the students should probably use all that they were given. The room is about 8 tatami mats big. This is my house starting from today. It's also the first time living alone. Until graduation, I would have to live without contacting anyone outside of the school. Unintentionally, I let out a smile. The school had a high employment rate and boasted the best facilities and opportunities out of all high schools in Japan. For me though, these weren't as important to me. I had one big reason for choosing the school. In middle school, I was forbidden from associating with friends, relatives, and other students. That's why I chose this school. I'm free. In English, that's freedom. In French, it's liberate. Isn't freedom the best? I can eat, sleep, and play when I want to without having anyone order me around. I can graduate with peace now. Frankly speaking, before I passed the exam, the result didn't matter to me. There was only a slight difference between passing and not passing. However, when the results came out, I was really happy that I got in. No one can judge me or order me around anymore. I can start anew. A new start. A new life. Anyway, I plan to have a fun student life from now on, not caring about my uniform. I jumped onto the bed, feeling far from tired. I tried to calm myself down, looking forward to my future school life.